Delicious Grape by Max Taylor.
You see, Max, it sounds good.
Well, it certainly sounds unusual.
That's an understatement, Max. It sounds original. It sounds exciting. Just imagine people all over the country going into their local bookshops and saying,
"Have you got a delicious grape?"
I'm sure it'll be a bestseller. It just needs revising, as I said.
Well, I'm still a little worried.
Stop worrying, Max. Trust me. Don't you want to be rich and famous?
Well, I wouldn't mind being rich and famous.
Your coffee, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Sir?
Thank you.
I mean, I really want to have this novel published.
Yes.
But I don't want it to change too much.
Max, when you say changed, you mean spoiled, don't you? You don't want it spoiled.
Well...
Max, trust me. Your novel is not going to be spoiled. It'll still be the same novel. It just needs a new title and a little revising. For example, your chapter titles.
What's wrong with the chapter titles?
There's nothing wrong with them, Max. They're good titles. Impossible Dreams, All Numbers Are Unlucky Numbers, An Unfortunate Accident, Irresistible Temptations, and so on. But they could be more striking, more dynamic. You could call the chapters Dreaming, Gambling, Disappearing, Stealing, and so on.
Well, I'm not sure.
Don't look so unhappy, Max. Everything's going to be fine. Have a grape.
Oh, thanks.
Delicious.
Curve. Publisher. Cast a net. Shoal. Landing a net. Author. Whirlpool. Whirlpool. Roast goose. Sip. Eggnog. Fruit basket. Fruit basket. Spiral. I disagree with you.
I'm not sure I agree with you. I don't quite see it that way. I wouldn't say that exactly.
That's a terrible idea.
I don't think that's a very good idea, actually.
That was stupid.
That wasn't very intelligent, was it?
I'm worried about the financial situation.
I'm not very happy about the financial situation.
Something terrible is going to happen.
Things don't look very good.
I wanted something completely different.
That is not exactly what I wanted. That is not exactly what I had in mind.
I dislike Jack.
I'm not very keen on Jack.
I dislike spicy food.
I'm not very keen on spicy food.
Bob really irritates me.
Bob can be a bit irritating sometimes. How's your steak?
Oh, fine. You know, I always like my steak very well done.
Yes, but in this case... very well done is a euphemism for burnt.
Never mind. When we were talking about my haircut before, you said it was striking.
Yes.
Was that a euphemism for ridiculous? When you said striking, you really meant ridiculous, didn't you?
Well, no, I wouldn't say ridiculous exactly. It's a bit unusual.
Yes. It's not exactly what I had in mind when I went to the hairdresser's.
So when you came out, you weren't too happy about it?
That is the understatement of the year. But now I quite like it, actually. It's very...
striking?
Exactly. Quite so. You see, but you do not observe. The distinction is clear. For example, you have frequently seen the steps which lead up from the hall to this room. Frequently. How often? Well, some hundreds of times. Then, how many are there? How many? I don't know. Quite so. You have not observed, and yet you have seen. That is just my point. Now, I know that there are 17 steps, because I have both seen and observed. By the way, you may be interested in this. It came by the last post. Read it aloud. There will call upon you tonight a gentleman who desires to consult you upon a matter of the very deepest moment. Your recent services to one of the royal houses of Europe have shown that you are one who may safely be trusted with matters which are of importance, which can hardly be exaggerated. This account of you we have from all quarters received. This is indeed a mystery. What do you imagine it means? I have no data yet, but the note itself, what do you deduce from it? The man who wrote it was presumably well-to-do. Such paper could not be bought under £0.50 a packet. It is peculiarly strong and stiff. Peculiar, that is the very word. It is not an English paper at all. Hold it up to the light. What do you make of that? The name of the maker, no doubt. Or his monogram, rather. Not at all. The G with the small t stands for Gesellschaft, which is the German for company. P, of course, stands for Papier. Now for the EG. Let us glance at our continental gazetteer. Eglo, Eglenitz. Here we are, Egria. It is in a German-speaking country, in Bohemia, not far from Carlsbad. Remarkable as being the scene of the death of Wallenstein, and for its numerous glass factories and paper mills. Ha ha, my boy, what do you make of that? The paper was made in Bohemia. Precisely, and the man who wrote the note is a German. Do you note the peculiar construction of the sentence? This account of you we have from all quarters received. A Frenchman or Russian could not have written that. It only remains, therefore, to discover what is wanted by this German, who writes upon Bohemia paper. And here he comes, if I am not mistaken. The Strand. This street was originally on the bank of the River Thames. Strand is a poetic word for bank. The street is no longer on the bank of the river, as the river is not as wide as it used to be, but it has kept its name.
The King's Road. This street is called the King's Road because it was once literally the King's Road. It was used by King Charles II, 1630 to 85, who was King of England, Scotland and Ireland from 1660 until his death. He used the road when travelling between St James's Palace and Hampton Court.
Pall Mall. This street is named after a game called Pall Mall, a kind of croquet which was popular in England in the 17th century. The game was introduced into England from Italy, and its Italian name was Palamaglio, formed from the words palla, ball, and maglio, mallet. The game was very fashionable in the time of King Charles II, and he had a Pall Mall playing area, constructed in St James's Field, now called St James's Park. The street, which runs near the north side of the park, was originally called Catherine Street, but it came to be called after the game. It is usually pronounced Pall Mall, although some people say Pall Mall.
Temeraire Street. This street is named after a famous ship, the Temeraire, which was one of the ships in the English fleet at the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. In 1838, the ship was no longer needed and was broken up. For many people, this was a sad end for a great ship. A song was written about it, and it inspired a famous painting by Joseph Turner, The Fighting Temeraire.
Study skills.
Listen and make notes.
I wonder which hand you're holding your pen or pencil in, the left or the right? Well, whether you're right-handed or left-handed, you might find this interesting. I'm going to give you some facts and figures about left-handedness. First, the percentage of people who are left-handed. The figure is about 10%. In other words, about 1 person in 10 is left-handed. Do children inherit left-handedness from their parents? Well, if both parents are left-handed, about 50% of their children will be left-handed. However, if both parents are right-handed, only about 2% of their children will be left-handed. So there's a great difference, 50% against 2%. Do right-handed people and left-handed people have different personalities? It is widely believed that they do. In right-handed people, the left hemisphere of the brain is dominant. This is the thinking hemisphere. This means that right-handed people tend to be logical, good at mathematics, interested in words, and so on. In left-handed people, the right hemisphere of the brain is dominant. This is the feeling hemisphere. This means that left-handed people tend to be interested in the whole of something rather than the details, to have musical and artistic talents and so on. Here are some examples of famous left-handed people. Michelangelo was left-handed. So was Leonardo da Vinci. The Spanish painter Pablo Picasso was left-handed. So was the English writer H.G. Wells. The actresses Marilyn Monroe and Judy Garland were left-handed. and so was Charlie Chaplin. How about you?
I hate climbing like this. I heard someone singing on the top. Just keep trying. We'll get there very soon. Tom, you said you used to be a skater. What put you off skating? Well, I had quite a bad accident. If I were you, I'd change to play chess. Why? Because you are too weak to stand a gust of wind. Headwind. Knapsack. Caravan shoes. Seal. Pickle. Rock hammer. Roping down. Goat. Mountain stream. Eagle.
Hello, George.
Oh, hi, Carol.
You've had your hair cut. It looks very striking.
Yes. I sent to the hairdresser I'd like it cut short at the front and left long at the back. He had a different idea. He's very creative.
Uh-huh.
As you can see, I had it cut short at the sides and left long on the top. Oh, I'm just beginning to regret it. Oh, have you been shopping?
Yes, buying paint.
Are you having your flat redecorated?
Well, I'm not having it redecorated. I'm redecorating it myself.
Oh.
You know what they say? If you want something done well, do it yourself.
Yes. From now on, I think I'll cut my own hair instead of going to the hairdresser's. Oh.
I saw you coming. I was looking through the window. You've been to the hairdresser's, then?
Yes. Now, be honest. What do you think?
Well, it's very...
Striking?
Yes, that's a good word. It's very striking.
I met Carol coming out of the paint shop. She said it was striking. And there were two people sitting behind me on the bus. I heard them talking. One of them said, "That's very striking."
How do you know they were talking about your hair?
Oh, I'm sure they were. I could feel them looking at it.
It was your imagination.
Maybe. What's that smell? I can smell something burning.
Probably your ears, if everybody's talking about you.
Ha ha. I can definitely smell something burning.
Ah, yes, you're right. I think lunch is ready. It's steak. Very well done.
Vine. Knitting. Peg. Tousle. Pigeonhole. Costume. Parking meter. Pet shop. Decorate. Display window. Demonstration.
How are you getting on with your novel, Max?
Well, there's some good news and some bad news. The good news is that I finished it. And believe it or not, I found a publisher who's interested in it.
What's the bad news?
The publisher says it needs revising.
Revising?
Yes, it needs revising. He didn't say whether it needed lengthening or shortening. All I know is that it needs changing. He was a bit vague about it, actually.
What's he like?
The publisher? He's very nice, but he hasn't published many novels. His company publishes books about cooking, mainly.
Maybe you should include some recipes in your novel.
Yes, perhaps that's what he meant when he said it needs revising.
Max, I was joking.
Oh, were you? I see. Still, it's not a bad idea.
Max, I wasn't being serious.
Sorry?
About the recipes. I was joking.
Yes. What do you think I should do? It's a real problem.
Well, first, you should stop worrying. You're still young.
What do you mean?
Well, a lot of famous novelists didn't begin writing fiction until quite late in life. Daniel Defoe, for example. Anthony Burgess.
That's true.
Just keep writing.
Oh, writing's no problem. I don't mind writing. In fact, I enjoy writing. But I can't keep revising the same book, can I? I mean, I wouldn't mind being famous when I'm 65.
But you'd rather be famous when you're 35.
Yeah, or sooner if possible.
Morning, Max.
Oh, hi, Angela.
Any more news about your novel since the other day?
Yes, there's some good news, there's some bad news, and there's some very bad news. The good news is the publisher definitely wants to publish it when I've revised it. He keeps on saying, I'm sure it'll be a bestseller.
What's the bad news?
The bad news is that he wants to change the title. He doesn't like A Dangerous Game.
And what's the very bad news?
The very bad news is that he wants to call it A Delicious Grape.
What?
I told you, he publishes books about food. I think I'll give up trying to get it published.
No, try another publisher.
Well, I did find one other publisher who was interested, but she publishes books about animals, really. So she'd probably want to call it A Desperate Gorilla or something.
Well, keep on trying.
Overloading. Cardigan. Convertible car. Pince nez. Casters. Devour. Dull. Sharp. Pear. Beret. Ing forms. Seeing is believing.
Boxing is a stupid and dangerous sport.
All advertising should be banned.
Smoking is not permitted in this theatre.
I stood under her window, singing a romantic song.
Suddenly he met a man selling ties.
I saw you coming.
I can smell something burning.
Verb plus direct object plus ing forms.
The company is considering exporting to another country called Industria.
Who suggested coming this way?
I used to like gambling.
Don't start getting depressed.
As I passed the bank, I noticed two men coming out.
No one is going to stop me saying what I think.
Verb plus direct object plus past participle.
If you play with fire, you get burnt.
Wait a minute. I'm getting dressed.
Do you want to get married?
Make something known.
Report something stolen.
I've heard it said that.
Leave no stone unturned.